Resonant Voice Online. Hi everyone, my name is Freya and I am excited and nervous because if you're singing this, that means that I'm actually doing it. I'm making a YouTube video. Wow. So, you probably have no idea who I am, and that is totally fine because I haven't really put myself out there much. So why don't we change that? Let me introduce myself. Hi, my name is Freya and I am from Australia. Most people would describe me as being loud and over-enthusiastic, but in reality I can be a little bit shy, and overall I just like to make people laugh and sing. Speaking of singing, I am crazy for the performing arts. I love singing, I love dancing, and I am just a big music theatre geek and a vocal mechanism nerd. I'm actually a professional performer in dance and music theatre, and I'm also a researcher in music theatre, which is really interesting and fun. I am also the founder of Resonant Voice Online, which started out as an exclusively online performing arts platform specialising in vocal studies, but it has now turned into something so much more. And I guess that's why I'm here today, to start this online journey, which is scary. So I've grown up a performer, as most people have in the performing arts, not all, but most. And I started my performing arts career at around 3 years old. My nana and my mum, who are my biggest supporters, they put me in dance and singing classes. And it wasn't because I was showing natural ability or because literally everyone in town was doing it, but it was to help me try and get through my differences, my challenges. In my childhood, I had a few different difficulties where I had a hearing disability that still isn't great. I had a speech impediment. Overall, I just wasn't a very healthy child. I had a lot of intellectual issues, and that kind of ruined my confidence, even as a 3-year-old. So my mum and my nana put me in these performing arts classes to help me not only socially and with my confidence, but to give me the best chance at life, so that I could, instead of being defined by my challenges, I could use them to help me and make me who I am. And that's definitely what these performing arts classes did. I lingered on that a little because I think it's really important that I mention that start to my journey, the reasoning as to why I started in the performing arts. Because the performing arts gets a lot of slack. It's not essential or it's not important in a child's development, and that's why it doesn't get funded, and that's why a lot of people write it off as not being as needed as other elements. But I can confidently say that if it wasn't for those performing arts classes, then I would not be who I am today. And not just as a performer and a teacher and a researcher, but who I am. I wouldn't have been able to develop the skills required to be me. And that's something that is really important and that I always want to mention, because it can be really hard being a performing artist, especially a teacher in the performing arts, to be taken seriously, because it's still in the mindset to some people that the performing arts isn't essential, but it absolutely is. Okay, that got a little bit off track there. But anyway, I started these classes and I loved the performing arts. I ended up singing and dancing literally many hours of the day in both classes and outside of classes. I went to competitions, I won some championships, I ended up growing up being one of those kids that you see on Dance Mums and those kind of shows. I went to a performing arts high school, which is a whole nother video, and I literally just surrounded myself in the performing arts. I didn't know anything else other than the performing arts. I was so fortunate enough to start my professional career in the performing arts as a teenager. So one of my biggest achievements and one of the first opportunities that I had as a performing artist professionally was to represent my culture as an Australian Aboriginal singer and dancer. I am a proud Worimi woman, and getting to represent my culture with companies like Bangarra Dance Theatre was the absolute highlight of my career as a teenager. Getting to sing and dance and express myself as this beautiful culture was just something that I will never get over. I also spent some time as a children's entertainer, which I'll have to explain in another video because there are some stories. But as a children's entertainer, I got to go live on TV and I got to record cast recordings, and every year for 5 years, during Christmas time for 3 months, every single night, I would perform on stage live. And that was definitely a journey, and maybe something that a teenager shouldn't have done. But what are you going to do? It's made me who I am today. So I had a fantastic time as a performing artist as a teenager, probably more than I should have. It did take away from some of my schooling things, and I never grew up being very academic or smart. And then when I was 18, something changed. I feel like a lot of people in their life stories have a very pivotal moment where something just clicks, or particular events happen and something about you change, your mindset changes, who you are changes. And that happened when I was 18. Just stuff happened, and I suddenly found myself not being as content with performing as I once was. And I found myself wanting to learn more in depth about what I was actually doing. So that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to try teaching at the young age of 18. Just out of school, I'm going to try teaching. So I got a job at a local theatre school, which I spent 5 beautiful years at. I got to work with hundreds of children aged between 7 and 18. I got to musical direct so many shows. I got to help these kids get to where they wanted to be. I got to see confidences bloom. And that's why I really found my passion for teaching. I have to admit, at the very beginning, as a young 18-year-old, I kind of didn't know what I was doing. But then as I developed and I got my Diploma of Music Theatre and my Bachelor of Music, I just found that there was so much to learn about the voice, and that the voice was this epic thing that was so interesting. So that was 5 years ago, and within those 5 years, I have learned so much. But the biggest thing that I've learned is that we don't actually know that much about the voice, which is really interesting. The voice is something that we all use every single day, and there are still so many gaps in research. So last year, 2019, I became very involved in research, and I had the crazy idea of being a researcher. So there's this institution in Melbourne that I really wanted to go to and be a researcher, even though I had not very much research experience. My lingo was quite bogan, and I applied and I got in. What? So now I am in Melbourne as a music theatre and voice researcher at a leading institution, and this is where we are today. My goal as a researcher is to explore the voice as much as I can, and then make that information that I'm learning accessible for all, not just people who can understand weird voice research jargon. If you don't have the right amount of money, or if you live in a particular location, you may not necessarily have the opportunity to explore your voice in a quality and sustainable way. So what I mean by that is you might not be able to work with the master voice teachers that you need to, that who have so much knowledge. And I just want to put a disclaimer out as well that I'm absolutely not trashing on any voice teachers and the rates that they charge. Like, being a voice teacher requires so much work, so much reading, so much exploring. You have to know so much objectively. You can't just know just one technique. You have to know kind of all of them. And that is really hard and takes years of work and practice. So teachers who are charging like hundreds of dollars are absolutely valid. But my thought was that there had to be something else out there for those people who couldn't pay those hundreds of dollars. There has to be something out there that can provide almost as good as quality. And I am part of a generation that grew up with the internet. And when you go on the internet, there are some fantastic resources out there, but there are also some really not great resources. And what I mean by that is that there are resources out there that just have the genetic, sing from your diaphragm. You can't sing from your diaphragm. Your diaphragm isn't another lung. And also you sing here. Anyway, that's another video. But what I'm saying is that there is so much out there that is not helpful. And it can be hard, especially if you don't have that mentorship, or even if you do have a voice teacher, it can be hard deciphering what is quality information and what isn't. So that is part of the reason why, number one, I'm a researcher, and number two, why I made Resonant Voice Online. I want the Resonant Voice Online platform to give you as much information as possible so that you can not only determine what information is quality information, what information is just the basic information that isn't very helpful, but also to give you opportunities so that you can explore your voice even without a vocal mentor. I will always say that singing teaching is the best step to getting guidance. Going to a singing teacher, a voice mentor, a vocal professional is always the best thing you can do for your voice, because there is so much value in that. You get personalized feedback, you get all this information. You are literally picking the brain of someone who knows the voice inside and out as much as they can with the current research, but you are picking their brain and working with them one-on-one, and that is just invaluable. But like I said, that is not necessarily available to every single person who wants to learn how to use their voice in a quality way. So as you can probably tell, I am not like other vocal teachers on the internet, and there are a lot of teachers, especially since this COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of teachers have found themselves making blog posts and TikToks and YouTube videos online. There's a common thread at the moment on YouTube that's like, a vocal teacher reacts to this, vocal coach reacts to this, and some of them are really cool to watch. But there are also other videos that are like, learn to belt in one day, learn to sing like Beyonce, learn to whistle tone in this one single video, and that's not how singing works. I'm sorry to tell you that, but that is not how singing works. I will make a video as to why you shouldn't really trust YouTube tutorials like that, but for the most part, there can be some conflicting information out there, especially on YouTube. So I would like to say that I am not one of those voice teachers. My philosophy is that I want to provide you as much as I can. Everyone deserves to find the beauty in their voice in a sustainable way, but going to a vocal teacher will be the best thing that you can do. And while that may not be available to you, I'm going to try as much as I can to give you the right information that you can potentially tailor to your voice. I'm going to teach you how you can find the right information for your voice. And I also want to give you opportunities like attending a free or pay what you can workshop with me, as well as other industry professionals and master teachers. I want to give you opportunities to be able to participate in a weekly ensemble class where you can potentially build those skills with other amazing singers. I want to give you as much as I can. But what I'm saying is that my whole reason for doing this is that I believe that everyone deserves to find their voice and to explore it in a sustainable way. I have always been a little bit scared of putting my voice out there in the voice community or on YouTube or anything like that, because I've always been a little bit nervous about what I'm saying is wrong. But now that I have the confidence to put myself out there, I'm not saying that I know absolutely everything, but I always vouch that if you have something valid to say, then you should absolutely say it. If it's going to help other people constructively find more within themselves, then you should absolutely say it. So I need to kind of start doing what I tell everyone else. Okay, so I'm going to finish up there because I'm a rambler, if you already couldn't tell. But before I go, please subscribe if you liked what you have seen today. We put out content every single week. And also check out our other social channels, so you can look up at Resonant Voice Online on Facebook and Instagram. And you can also check out our website, where you'll be able to find lots of blog posts about vocal tuition and health and performance, repertoire, anything along those lines. You'll also be able to find information about our Pay What You Can weekly ensemble classes, where we focus on music theatre skills. It's on a casual basis, so even if you just pop in for one, it could be a really great experience for you to build some skills. We also have weekly workshops, which are usually free or pay what you can, and that's not only with me but other master teachers, so we always update that, so make sure you register for that online. You can find information about how I teach and having vocal lessons, but you can check that out at resonantvoiceonline.com. But other than that, I think that's it. So thank you for joining me today. I am really excited to start this vocal journey with you, and I will see you all next week. Have a resonant day!